Have you been studying all day? You want a break? You want to relax? Maybe watch some TV?
Yes.
Well, if you watch today's video, you can do exactly that, and your parents can't even get on your case about it.
What?
Exactly, but why is that, Mike?
This is because one of the best ways to improve your general listening ability, your pronunciation, and getting used to an accent is by watching TV. This is Michael Perrano.
And I'm Phil.
And you're watching the IELTS Grind.
Yeah. So what are we going to do today, Mike? What are we talking about?
We are going to be talking about TV shows!
Yes! We both like TV, and in particular, we watch a lot of Netflix.
Yep. And Netflix is great for you guys because, in my opinion, it's the easiest way to use subtitles.
Oh, yeah.
Turn them on and off. If you illegally download, not that you illegally download things, of course not. But if you do that, oftentimes the subtitles are always there. You can't turn them on or off.
That's true, yeah.
But with Netflix, really easy.
Yeah. My wife always has Chinese subtitles. Yeah.
Does that help her English?
Doesn't help her English, no. Doesn't help my Chinese. But there you go. It's a fact.
Now, that being said, before we jump into our recommendations, I want to remind you guys there are 6 steps you need to follow to be improving your English with TV shows. Step 1 is you need to watch it with Chinese subtitles or your native language's subtitles if your English is below a 6, okay? If your English is a 6 or above, you should be watching with English subtitles first. Okay. So one or the other, and then you need to watch the episode, the same episode, again. That's step 2. And you watch it with the opposite subtitles. So if you watched it the first time with Chinese subtitles, you would watch it the second time with English subtitles. And the reason why you do this is because if you are using subtitles of your native language, you are not thinking in Chinese. But if you only watch with English subtitles, but your English is too low to understand, you're going to hate English. This is why you need to do it 2 times. First with one, then with the other. And doing this will help your general English comprehension. Trust me, it will help you a lot. After a while, you can eventually get to the point where you're really high. Then you're going to do no subtitles, English subtitles. Now, that's step 1 and 2. And you can do that over 2 separate days. Okay? You can do Monday, watch it the first time, Tuesday, watch it the second time.
Yeah.
Step 3 is you are going to turn off subtitles. And then you are going to write down the sentence. So choose a sentence that you think is interesting or useful, turn off subtitles, write it down. After you write it down, you do step 4. You turn the subtitles back on, and in a new color, you fix your terrible sentence. You probably missed a lot of words. You probably misheard a lot of things. And then we go to step 5. Okay? Step 5 is you're going to mark the stress. We have a whole video about English as a time stress language, which will tell you about how to do that. And then step 6 is you listen and say. You listen and repeat. Yeah. Steps 3 and 4 help you listen for details, listen for those little words you often miss. Step 5 and 6 help your pronunciation.
Yeah. So it's just such a good effort, such a good method to both improve your listening and your speaking, and you're watching TV.
It's fun.
It's great.
Yes. Find a TV show you like. If the TV show is not fun, what should you do?
Find a better TV show.
Yes. And there's so much. You guys are so lucky. There are so many TV shows in English. So, like learning Chinese, I can't find ones I like.
I can find some in French, but a lot of movies are dubbed, so they're English language movies dubbed in French, and that always makes my brain a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so today what we're going to do is talk about lots and lots of different TV shows, but we're going to split them up into different accents.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start off with
British English?
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Okay, so some really good English TV shows. Now I'm going to split this into English as an accent in general, although it's not easy to do because there's north, south, east, west. I'm going to talk about some Welsh accent TV shows and Scottish and Irish. Okay, so first of all, English. So I would recommend 2 TV shows. One is called The Crown, which is all about the current Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II, and Victoria, which follows the story of a previous Queen of England, Victoria. And these are quite good historical kind of episodes, series.
Period pieces.
Period pieces, yeah. I quite like them. And it's very good English. The standard of English is very high. It's not the sort of English that you would hear in the street today in London, for example. But it's well worth watching, yeah.
Another great one in the same vein is Downton Abbey.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
I like Downton Abbey.
Yeah, it makes you feel good.
You also, for that one, you get sort of you get a higher level English, sort of
by the nobility.
Yeah, the RC accent, and you also get the local Northern English from the servants and things. So it's a nice mix of 2 different types of accents. I'd also recommend a really good series that we both like. It's called Sex Education. Sex Education. It's
a modern story.
Yeah, it's a modern one. It's quite funny.
Yeah, it's a great comedy.
Yeah.
It's about some high school students, and there's this one guy who his mom is a sex therapist, and then kids in his school find out and start asking him questions, and he starts a little business of helping them out.
It's a good series.
It's a great show.
We also spoke about another series called Luther that you recommended. I've not seen this one, but
it's a great thriller. It's a really, really good thriller. It's a bit dark. Okay, it's a heavy drama. It's not a comedy, but the characters are just so amazing. I love that series. Another thriller that's more lighthearted would be Sherlock. Everyone loves Sherlock.
Yeah, so it's based on the famous story Sherlock Holmes. I'm sure you've heard of this. Yeah, that's quite a good one. It's good, quite, again, good standard of English. Sherlock, the actor, his accent's quite posh, I would say, yeah. And then Martin Freeman, he's got, it's not as posh an accent, so you get a bit of a balance there as well. Yeah, it's pretty good.
What about Whitechapel?
Yeah, we mentioned Whitechapel, which is a kind of, if I remember, it's the story of Jack the Ripper. So Jack the Ripper, famously in the 1880s, was a man who murdered quite a few ladies of the night. And this is a story. Now, I did watch this once. Is it a modern remake on that?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, it's a modern remake of that, yeah.
Yep.
It's quite an interesting story. But again, that's based in London, so you get a bit of the London accent, a bit like mine, yeah. Okay. Some other ones that I recommend. There's one, it's called Cuckoo.
I have not heard of that one.
Cuckoo. So it's a funny story about, it's basically a family and a father whose daughter comes back from travelling with a bit of a hippie American husband. And it's all about the sort of strife they have between the 2 of them. But there you have the American accent, and you also have a Northern English accent. So, but it's more of a comedy, it's more colloquial. So that's a good series.
When you say Northern England, is that still in England, or is that like closer to like Scotland?
Yeah, I suppose this accent would be in the middle of England. But when I say Northern England, I mean anything of the north of the Thames River.
Okay. But not Scotland.
No, Northern England is in England, not part of Scotland. Also, I would recommend some soaps. One is called Eastenders. That's
really
based
famous.
in London. So it's what's called the East End accent, so what we would call Cockney. I'd also recommend Emmerdale, which is another soap, which is based in, I think, northern England, outside London. And also there's another one which is called Brookside, which is a famous soap that went on for many years. You can probably find EastEnders, Emmerdale, and Brookside on YouTube. You can get a couple clips.
And these are all shorter episodes, right?
Because yeah, they would be around half an hour, I would reckon, yeah.
Which is nice. You know, choosing a short TV show helps a bit. One that he actually didn't know about is a TV show called Coupling.
Yeah, I've not seen this one.
Everyone knows about Friends, the American TV show, which many people like to use to study English. Coupling is like the British version of Friends. They came out at about the same time. I think Coupling came out a bit after Friends, but it's the same concept. It's just a bunch of friends and then their stories. Okay. It's definitely a comedy. Speaking of which, there are a few comedies we can get into, like Black Books.
Yeah. So if you watch Black Books, it's quite a funny comedy. I think there are about 3 or 4 seasons. So this is around a bookshop, and the owner of the bookshop is actually Irish. So there's the Irish accent there, and then he has a helper who's from near a town called Bristol in England. So you get 2 different accents there, but it's based in London. So it's quite an interesting series.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I quite like it, yeah.
But, comedy is hard to translate. Like, just because it's funny to us as native speakers, it might not be funny to you. Remember, if you don't like a TV show, find another one.
Yeah.
One last one, and this would fall under like the supernatural category or genre. Being Human.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
Is a great
Being
British
Human.
TV show.
Yeah, very good.
It's about a ghost, a vampire, and a werewolf who live together in a house.
Yeah, I've seen that one. And also for the Welsh accent, I would definitely recommend that you watch a series called Gavin and Stacey. This is about a man who lives in Essex, which is just north of London, who meets a girl who's from a place near Cardiff in Wales, and she's actually from Barry Island, but and they meet, and you have the Welsh accent, which is quite interesting. It's for English people, it's a funny accent, and then you have this Southern English accent as well. So that's a good one. And for Scotland, we spoke about what was on our list for Scotland. For Scotland, there's a new series on Netflix that I watched recently called The English Game, which is funny for a Scottish accent, but it follows the story of the FA, the Football Association, early on in the 1870s, and 2 of the main characters are Scottish. So that was one of the main things that I could think of. But also, if you were to find some of the old Doctor Who episodes with David Tennant, it's David Tennant, I think.
I think so.
He's Scottish, and in that, his accent as the Doctor Who, he's Scottish. Okay. So that would be something if you wanted to practice the Scottish accent.
And you may hear any number of these on the IELTS exam. And also, it's good to watch these if you're going to be going to these places. Yeah. Like if you're going to a university in Scotland, I highly recommend you find some TV shows with that accent, because it can be difficult to understand if you're used to other British accents or even the American accent.
I have a really good story of this. I once had a girlfriend who was German, and we were travelling in Scotland, and for some reason we booked a train ticket and we wanted to go home early, and that wasn't allowed. And we spoke to the lady at the train station, and she was trying to be kind. So she said to my girlfriend at the time, like, "Come here, I'm going to tell you a secret." And she didn't understand the accent. She's like, "What? What?" She's like, "Shh, I'm not allowed to do this for you." Because she didn't understand the accent, she nearly got the lady in trouble for helping us. I thought that was funny. But anyway, so another accent you might hear on the IELTS is the Australian accent. So there are several different series and episodes that you could find. You recommended one of them. Do you remember which one it was?
I recommended Please Like Me.
Yeah.
Please Like Me is a great drama. It will make you cry. It will make you feel good. It's a really, really good show. I can't recommend it enough. There's also, if you're looking for a comedy, there's The Wizard of Aus, spelled A-U-Z. This is a play on words because there's a really famous movie and book called The Wizard of Oz, O-Z, which is about Dorothy, the main character, going through a tornado, ending up in a magical land. In The Wizard of Oz, A-U-Z for Australia, or A-U-S for Australia, there's a fantasy world where people are tired of living there, and so they're immigrating to Australia. And so, there's some wizards who are trying to integrate into Australian culture. So it's really funny, and the episodes are super short.
Okay.
Yes.
I can also recommend. There's a series that I watched a few years ago. It was called Underbelly. Have you ever saw that one? Which it's about crime. So if you're into crime and sort of detective series. This is a good one for you. And it sort of followed each season was a different criminal, and it was quite an interesting series there. Yeah.
By the way, we know that our list of TV shows for Australia is a bit smaller.
Yeah.
Their cinema is not so widespread.
I have 2 more though.
But which you will get to. But another thing you can always do is if you are on Netflix, you can go to the search bar and type Australia or America or British, and it will tell you more recommendations if you don't like any of ours.
That's a good tip.
But 2 more for Australia.
Being British, I actually grew up watching a lot of Australian soaps. There are 2 very famous ones, and you can probably find some episodes on YouTube or also on the web. One of them is called Neighbours, famously a soap set in Ramsay Street. And this has been going for 30, 40 years. It's a very good soap. And you probably know a lot of famous people that were on it. Kylie Minogue, the singer, she started her career on Neighbours. Yeah, Jason Donovan, if you know these people. Okay, don't know these people. Okay. And also another soap set in Australia was called Home and Away. Very famous one. Summer Bay, I remember, is where it was set. So those are good soaps for practicing the Australian accent. But what about their neighbours, the Kiwis, the New Zealanders?
Flight of the Conchords is the first one that come to mind. Comedy. They're a folk parody music group. So what that means is they make songs making fun of other songs or making fun of situations. So like they make funny songs. And they were actually able to make a TV show that ran for like 2, 3, 4 seasons.
Yeah.
And it's just them having funny antics. The episodes are quite short. It's a comedy. I actually don't know of many other New Zealand TV shows.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there's a good film I can recommend, which is by a comedian. It's all about vampires, but it's a comedy. And it's What We Do in the Shadows.
That's a New Zealand show.
Yeah. That's Kiwi. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. It's a really good film. I'd recommend it because the Australian accent and the Kiwi accent, they're quite difficult for us to tell apart, but they are extremely different.
They'll get angry if you call an Australian a Kiwi or a Kiwi an Australian.
Yeah, I do. I do that quite a lot.
This is interesting because you probably can tell the difference. But for me, hearing the difference between a South African accent and Australian accent is difficult.
Oh no, for me it's very...
Yeah,
like,
to an American ear, they're quite similar.
It's like, like Australians like, I'm doing it's like, oh man, you want to go down to the beach? Let's go get a drink down at the beach, man. It's like that. And the South Africans like, hey man, do you want to go to the beach? We're going to get a drink. It's lekker.
Same.
2 of the worst accents in the world.
We apologize to any Australians or South Africans that were offended by...
I try my best. Okay, so that brings us on to Americans.
And boy, are you guys lucky. Now, if you're still with us, great. This is a very long list and it is not exhaustive. What that means is that there are so many more TV shows you can watch. I'm going to run through a bunch of these really fast because I used to watch TV shows like it was my job. When I was living in China, I was watching 8 hours of TV a day. I had a lot of free time. Yeah, crazy. So, starting, if you like handsome men, you can watch Suits, and it's about a lawyer who helps a con man become a lawyer, and the con man is super, super smart. Really, really good show. Again, that one is called Suits. Second one, similar, is called White Collar. In White Collar, there is a actual con man, like that was his job. He got caught, sent to prison, and now he has to help the police find other bad guys. Another one is Supernatural. Supernatural is in its 15th season now.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy. They have a really dedicated fan base.
Is it still fresh?
You start to see patterns repeat again and again.
Okay.
But
great for learning English.
Yep. This one is scary. This is a horror, supernatural, fantasy mix. They're 2 brothers, and their job is to hunt monsters.
Oh.
And so they hunt monsters. Nice. And you get to see scary monsters, and you get to see the scary monsters die. It's great. Okay, so those were all the ones with very handsome, attractive people. Some other good ones is Lie to Me. Lie to Me is a TV show about a man who studied people's micro-expressions and can tell when people are lying. And so he uses that to help solve cases.
Okay.
It's really good. Speaking of, this is a good segue to go into detective stories. If you like Sherlock for British English, America has its own ripoff called Elementary. And it's not as good. Sherlock is a beautifully made show.
Yeah.
But the problem with UK TV shows is that they're all very short. Like Sherlock, season 1 had 6 episodes?
Yeah.
Season 4 had 2 or 3 episodes?
No, but
that's crazy.
You got to leave them wanting more.
In America, a standard season is 22 to 26 episodes.
Okay.
So
if I can interrupt it. So another suggestion, if you like comedy, you can watch The Office. But there is the original British Office, The Office made by Ricky Gervais, and then there's the American one, which is funny, but the difference is The Office, the British one, only had, I think, 2 or 3 seasons, whereas the American Office is probably in the 20th season.
yes.
Yeah, so we keep it short and sweet. Anyway, back to your list.
Most people think that the American one is better, by the way. Just saying, most people, not me. I don't like either of them. Too cringy.
They don't understand it. That's the point. That's the whole point.
Yes. But, yep. So, speaking of which, there's also, if you like The Big Bang Theory, which is a really popular American comedy.
I like that.
There's also The IT Crowd in the UK.
Yeah.
Similar comedy structures. There's also Peep Show, which is another British comedy. That is too cringy for me. I don't like to watch it.
It's funny.
But going back to American detective series, there's The Mentalist. This is about a con man. We have a lot of TV shows about con men in the US.
Tells you a lot about US society.
You're not wrong. So The Mentalist was a con man, and then he was tired of being a con man, and now he's a private detective who helps the police catch bad guys. Let's see. There are tons of good dramas about detectives. If you're looking for a cop comedy, there's a great one called Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Okay. And this is a really funny comedy about one office of policemen in New York, and they're all very silly people. It's great.
I could never get into that series.
Really?
I tried, but sometimes you just don't get into a series.
That's true. And what do you do if you can't get into it?
Go into the next one.
Yeah, that's right, because there's so many TV shows. There's been a recent increase in the number of superhero TV shows in America. There's The Flash, Green Arrow, Supergirl.
Yeah.
There's just so many. Gotham. If you like superheroes, any of these are all recent ones.
Yeah.
What sort of genre I haven't covered yet?
So are there any, so you've done comedies, right?
Comedies, detectives.
You're doing your thrillers.
Thrillers. We have a fair number of thrillers, but I don't know any. 24? A little old, though.
I watched one, I suppose it's a thriller. It was called Designated Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland.
And that was about the vice president having to stay alive, right?
Yeah.
Or not the vice president, like they killed everyone and he's like
and he becomes the president. And my favourite part in that, as president, every single time he gives a speech, he has to say, "My fellow Americans." And it just makes me laugh because he's Canadian.
Well, you know, Canada is just America's hat.
Okay. Any Canadians watching, I'll tell you his address.
No, don't dox me. This is terrible.
Okay, so I think you can see that there are lots and lots of different TV shows. And the advantages of watching TV shows over movies is that you can use the 6-step method. And you can watch them because you can get episodes of 20 minutes to 1 hour. And that's much easier to watch over and over again. But if you wanted to watch something a little bit longer, you can always watch 15 minutes today, watch it again later, and you can split it up that way.
Just like with everything else, like when we talked about reading every day, 20 minutes every day, that's what you should be doing to build your vocabulary and reading fluency. With TV shows, it's the same. Tenacity. Try to do it every day. 20 minutes, that's not too long. You could do it when you wake up in the morning. You could do it before you go to sleep. The important thing is you try to do it consistently.
Yeah.
Yep.
I personally, I tend to watch, I like to watch TED Talks in French, and I watch maybe 1 or 2 a week just to keep my level of French up. And yeah, it's really helped me because I can still speak French after nearly 3 years of living in France. So it does work.
And that's another thing. If you prefer podcasts, if you prefer news shows like BBC, these work just as well as TV shows. The thing is, I just think TV shows are more fun.
Yeah.
Right? It's a motivational thing. If you don't like studying English, you're not going to be working so hard.
Yeah.
TV shows make it fun.
You got to have a love for the language. If you don't have a love for the language, you're not going to improve.
It's true. Yeah.
Okay, so thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And you can leave a comment down below of your favorite TV show.
Which ones did we miss?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much for watching. See you next time.
Peace.
Chaos.